Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Hayami Maseches Bava Metzia DAF Lamed Hey. We got up to the bottom, to the top of Lamed Hey Amud Aleph, but perhaps, it's right in the middle of a discussion, so perhaps let's just briefly step back for a second and recap yesterday's Gemara. We began the most recent section with Rav Huna. Rav Huna tells us that although a fellow is offering to pay for a lost or stolen item that got, that happened, that was stolen under his watch, right? He's willing to pay for it, but we still impose a shvuah on him. We say, look, we want you to confirm that, in fact, the item is not under your care, is not in your possession. It's called a shvuah she'eina b'reshusay, says Rav Huna. You know why? Because we're concerned that perhaps he laid his eyes on it and he pocketed the item, and that's why he's being so generous and offering to pay for it. So that's the shvuah of Rav Huna. Before you pay for it, first confirm that in fact you don't have it. The kasha on that was because we have a Mishnah in Maseches Shavuos, which has two sections. In the first section, it's the lender presenting a claim against the borrower. Look, I lent you X amount of money in exchange for a mashkoin, a collateral, which was worth less than the money I lent you. And in fact, the mashkoin went missing. It's gone. Of course, I'll pay for it. I'll deduct that amount from the overall loan. But you owe me some because the mashkoin didn't really add up to the full amount of the loan. So in the first part of the Mishnah, the malva, the lender, is presenting his claim as such, and the loiva responds. In the first case, he says nothing doing. The mashkin was worth as much as the loan, and therefore I'm totally absolved because you lost my mashkin. So basically, apply it against the loan, and we're even Steven. So in this case, he's a kafir. A kafir is totally denying, and he's going to be patur from making any shvuah. In the second instance, he is agreeing partly. Look, I agree that the mashkin that I gave you didn't really add up to the full amount of the loan, but more than you're claiming, and therefore he's considered a moide b'miktsas. He's a partial admitter, in which case he has to make a shvuah to ascertain the actual value of that collateral. So that was phase one of the mission. In phase two, the loiva is the one initiating the claim against the malva. Look, you lent me X amount of money, but the collateral that I gave you was worth much more, and you lost it. Pay the difference. So in the first instance, the malva totally denies. The mashkin was worth exactly as much as the loan. It's lost, fine, let's apply it to the loan, we're done. In the second case, the malva agrees somewhat. It was worth a bit more than the loan, but not as much as you're claiming. So it's a partial admittance. Moed b'miktsas has to make a shvuah. Says the Mishnah, but listen, rather than going back to the first situation where the loiva should be making the shvuah, in phase one of the Mishnah, rather than the loiva making the shvuah to confirm the value, we require the malva to make the shvuah to verify the value of the item. You know why? Because maybe the malva is just setting him up for failure. He knows the item isn't worth as much as the loiva is claiming, and therefore he's proposing that the loiva makes a shvuah, and then he might just pull out the mashkin that he claims was lost or stolen. He'll pull it out and say, look, hey, got you. Look, you just swore falsely. Okay, that's the Mishnah. The kasha on that was, hold it. V'im isa. Okay, so on the top of Lamed Hey Amud Aleph. If in fact we follow Lid Rav Huna's halacha, that whenever there's a lost item, you have to testify that it was in fact lost. Kiva the mishtaba malva she'eina b'reshusay. So once the lender will make a shvuah, then in fact the item is no longer in his possession. Heichi matzi mapikila. How could he even think of producing it and disproving the loiva's claim? He already swore that he doesn't have it. We have three terutzim. Amar Rava sheish edim shenisrafa. In this case, we're speaking that there were edim that come and testify that the item was stolen, was burnt, destroyed. So there's no point in having the malva swear that he doesn't have it. We know he doesn't have it. If that's the case, meicha maisi lo. So how could he theoretically produce the item? What's the concern that he might produce the item? The item doesn't exist. Elam Rabbi Yosef sheish edim shenignava. No, it wasn't burnt, it was stolen. And we have edim to confirm that. So again, in this case, we will not require him to make Rav Huna's shvua because we know he doesn't have it. So again, the same question. Soif, ultimately, how's he going to discover the item and use it to disprove the loiva's claim? If we know that it was stolen, well, you can retrieve a stolen item. The Torah Chamaisi law. He'll make that effort. He'll review his video cameras and he'll see who stole it. He says the Gemara, okay, if that's the concern, Kimishtaba Malva. So what are we saying? Rather than the loiva make the shvua to confirm the value, let the malva make a shvua. So even though the malva makes a shvua, now militrach loiva v'laisi. There's always a concern that the loiva might go ahead, retrieve the stolen item, right? Track down the ganab, retrieve the item, and use that to disprove the malva's claim and to prove his shvua as false. Litrach loiva v'laisi. No, bishleim malva yada man ka'ayel v'nafik b'beisei. The lender knows who's frequenting his home. He'll go back and, he'll look into his most recent visitors. He'll go through his video footage. And I'll make the effort to retrieve the stolen item. He has the ability to access his stolen item. But the borrower, the loiva, who handed his mashkin to the malva, the malva, how does he know who's visiting the malva's house? He has no clue. And he has no ability to really, realistically retrieve his stolen item. So therefore it makes more sense for the malva to make that shvua because the loiva doesn't really have a method, doesn't have a way to prove him false. So that was the first teretz, right? The kasha was, why are we concerned about producing items if we know the malva is going to make a shvua that he doesn't have it? The answer is, it was a case where he didn't make that shvua. Why? Because there were edim that it was stolen. So we didn't require him to make that shvua. Amaya Omer has another teretz. Gzeira shamiyitan v'yomer. True. Of course, we apply Rav Huna's shvua. The malva will have to confirm with a shvua that in fact he doesn't have the item. But you know what? There's always a concern that he might claim to have discovered the item afterwards. After all, it was misplaced. Okay, he located it. Gzeira shamiyitan v'yomer. He can claim, Loi, achar shvo mitzasia. Sure, although I swore I don't have it, but now I discovered it. I located it. And now he'll use that to disprove his opponent's words and disqualify him for further edus because it will turn out that he swore falsely with reference to the value of the item. Rav Ashi Amar has another teretz. You're right. Of course, we apply Rav Huna's shvua. Zenishba v'nenishba. Both disputants will have to swear. Zenishba she'ena b'rishusay. One swears that he doesn't have the item, like Rav Huna. Who's that? The malva, who had the item until now. V'zenishba kama yashava. And his opponent will swear how much to verify the value of the item. Of course, they both swear. V'chika amar. And all the Mishnah meant to say was as follows: who goes first? In the order of events, mi nishbat chila. Who goes first? Malva nishbat chila. First, the malva, who had the item in his possession until now. He swears he no longer has the item. And then, and only then, can his opponent swear regarding the value of the item. You know why we do it in this order? Shema yishav hazeh. Because if the loiva swears first as to the value of the item, he might be disproven by the malva, who will pull out the pikadon, which is worth more. So, in order of the events, in the Seder Hadvarim, we first require the malva to make a shvua. Shvua she'eni b'rishusay. I don't have it. And once we confirm that he doesn't have it, that lessens the chance of disqualifying the loiva upon making a shvua as per the value of the item. Okay, so the question was, what happened to Rav Huna's shvua? We have three terutzim. Rav Huna matachlifa b'shmei Rava Amar, he says like this. We can take a look at the Mishnah from another angle and present another kasha on Rav Huna. Reisha, the first scenario, the seifa of the second part of the Mishnah, involving the loive initiating a claim against the malva by claiming that the collateral was worth more than the loan. And in the first instance, the lender totally denies that. He's called a kaifer hakoil, total denial, which makes him exempt from shvua. That is going to be a kasha to yufta l'Rav Huna. You know why? So what's the case? Sela v'sani olav. Mr. Loiva, borrower, gets up and says to the malva, look, you lent me a sela in exchange for this collateral. Shtayma yesheva, but truthfully, it was worth double the amount, and you lost it. Pay me the difference. What does the lender claim? Nothing doing. No, untrue. I lent you a sela, but the item was worth a sela. Sela yesheva. Potter, he's exempt from any shvur because he's a kaifer hakoil. He's totally denying. But v'im isa l'Rav Huna. But if we follow Rav Huna's halacha, that whenever a person claims to have been missing an item and is willing to pay for it, such as in this case where the malva is willing to deduct from the loan as per the item lost. So now once we get him on the shvua, stand, so to speak, we get him to make a shvua, migu, the mishtaba malva shen b'rshusay, since he begins, once he starts with a shvua, that I don't have the item, once we get the shvua system rolling, l'shtaba nami gilgul shvua kama yeshava. We have a concept called gilgul shvua. We roll it over, we bundle it up, so to speak. Once you have to make one shvua, we can sort of package it with other shvuas as well, even though those are not really justified claims that can trigger a shvua. But once you start swearing, we add the other elements into we expand the shvua into that territory as well. So once he's chayv to make a shvua because of Rav Huna, let us include the reference to the value as well. Amar Rav Ashi, Amrita l'shmata k'mei Rav Kahana. I presented this discussion to Rav Kahana, but Amalini answered this kasha like this: hey, let's be speaking b'maminai, where the malva for some reason is not making a shvua sheina b'rshusay. Why? Because the loiva trusts him. I believe you don't have the item. So in this case, there's no grounds for a shvua of Rav Huna. Okay, v'nehemne loiva l'malva nami b'ha kama havashava. Well, if the loiva is trusting the malva in terms of possession of the item, right? He believes him that he doesn't have it; it was lost. So why can't he also trust him regarding the value? Why are they fighting? Like Kim lebegave. The loiva is thinking that the malva doesn't really own the item; it wasn't his personal item, so perhaps he wasn't really paying attention. He wasn't cognizant to the exact value. I trust him, but he's not proficient. Okay, if people are trusting each other, let the malva now trust the loiva. You're the owner. You know the value of the item. Why are we arguing? Right? The kimli b'gavei, the loiva certainly has full knowledge, intimate knowledge of the items that he owns. The answer is loy mehem loy. No, the malva doesn't trust the loiva. Why is it only a one-way trust? Why is the loiva trusting the malva? To loy mehem loiva, but the malva doesn't trust the loiva. Why are we dealing with a one-way trust situation? Says the Gemara. You know why? It's very normal. Loiva mekayim bein b'malva. In the loiva's eyes, he perceives the malva as a trustworthy fellow. Look, he's wealthy. Why would Hashem make him wealthy if he wasn't a straight, honest fellow? Tumas yisharim tanchim. He applies the pasuk in Mishlei. The integrity, the honesty of straight people leads them to success. It must be because of his honesty that Hashem made him wealthy. At least that's what he's thinking. So I trust him. But not the other way around. The malva mekayim be'beloiva, but the malva applies on the loiva a very different part of the pasuk, the same pasuk at the ending. The selef boidim yishadim, the crookedness of these rebellers, of these wrongdoers, robs them of their ability to have money. Basically, it robs them of success. The reason why he's poor is because he's not a man of integrity. So therefore I can't trust him. Continues the Gemara. Who gavra? There was a story of a fellow, the afkid kipi. He deposited jewelry, some nose rings, earrings, gabe chavri with his friend. Amrli havli kipi. Comes a day, comes to get back his jewelry. Amrli says, sorry, I can't recall where I placed it. Lo yadana, I'm not sure where I placed them. No, ask Rav Nachman. They come to Rav Nachman. Amarli, he says, look, you don't know, pay. If you don't know, that's negligence. Zil shlim, pay up. Lo shilim, refused to pay. Also Rav Nachman went, Ag beila padni minei. He compelled him to give up his mansion. Okay, so he let the owner, the jewelry fellow, seize the other fellow's mansion. If it turns out, ultimately they found the jewelry. Not only that, it went up in price since the last time. Amar Rav Nachman, okay, swap everything back. Hadri keep it, give back the jewelry to the owner. Give back the mansion to the owner. Amar Rava, so Rava says, I had a kasha on that psak halacha. I was sitting in front of Rav Nachman when this occurred. Incidentally, we were learning this parak hamafkid on topic, and I asked him from the Mishnah, right? If the fellow offers to pay, he opts to pay rather than swearing and exempting himself. Excuse me, what does the Mishnah say? He's entitled to all benefits, to the kefil, to the, right? Here as well, this fellow gave up his mansion. So now that we discover the jewelry, which have increased in price since the last time, who should get that gain? Who should get that profit? This fellow who paid. Rav Nachman refused to respond. He ignored my question. And the truth is, he was right. It's a good thing he didn't answer. He was right. You can't compare the two cases. You know why? My timer. In the case of the Mishnah, the Shemer Shechinam was easygoing. He cooperated immediately. He didn't drag the owner to the bezdin. Didn't give him a hard time. Rather, he paid right away. Of course, he's entitled to all benefits. In our case, he gave him a hard time. He took him to the bezdin. He took him through the grinder. So in this case, he's not entitled to any benefits. Okay. Remember the Savar Rav Nachman the Shuma Hadar? Shuma means an item which was seized in lieu of repayment of a loan, etc. Right? So Shuma literally means evaluation, assessment. So the bezdin assesses the borrower's properties and take his items on account of his defaulting on the loan. So the Rav Nachman holds that the Shuma Hadar, that an item which was assessed and seized, such as this fellow's mansion, will be returned to its owner if and when the fellow pays up, such as in this case, where he gets back his mansion. No, says the Gemara here, it's different. Shani Hassam. In our case of the jewelry, it's very different. The Shuma B'To's Hava, the whole thing was a mistake, because the jewelry was there to begin with. The Kahavi Kipi Mikara, the same jewelry was here all along. We just couldn't find it. So the whole thing was a mistake, as opposed to an ordinary case of a Shuma where a borrower defaults on his loan. So then we rightfully seize his property. Who says in that case he has a right to get it back when he finds access to money? But Amri Nardoi, the Yeshiva Nardah, said that Shuma Hadar Atrese Achishata, we give the fellow 12 months to retrieve his seized property. This is speaking about a borrower who defaults on his loan. So although he loses his property, but if he can come up with some money within 12 months, we give him the opportunity to reclaim his field, but not past 12 months. Because I guess at that point the fellow settles in, and it's unfair to to take back the property. But Amemar says, no, I came from Adar as well, but I take it further. It was really Shuma Hadar Lo'ilam. I hold that Shuma goes back Lo'ilam without a deadline, even past 12 months. You know why? That's the halacha. Shuma Hadar Lo'ilam Mishum, because the pasuk says he meant to go the extra mile. Do what's right and righteous, be extra generous. After all, it was this fellow's property. He lost it because of a default. Okay, now that he's able, give it back to him. On the topic of Shuma Hadar, says the more Pshita, it's clear. The following case is clear. Suppose Levi, who defaulted, lost his property to Shimon, his Baal Chayv. And Shimon likewise defaulted on his loan, and transferred the same property to his lender, to Reuven. And now Levi, the former owner, wants to retrieve his property by paying off Reuven. Problem is, Reuven is not really his Baal Chayv. He has a right to do so. You know why? We turn to Reuven and we say, look, you're not any better than Shimon, from whom you got this property. You're not better than Shimon, who gave you this property. Just as Levi would have the ability to retract from Shimon, he can retract from you as well. However, Zavna, suppose Levi gave up his property to Shimon, but Shimon sold it. Orta, or he willed it to his kids. Or he gave it away as a gift. That changes the story. Vadai, certainly in this case, Hane Meikara, all these people Meikara adapted the Aranachos. They entered the property on account of the property. He bought the property. He took the property as a gift. It wasn't like he lent the person money. And he really just wanted his money back. The fellow defaulted, so grudgingly he accepted his property, but really, he doesn't want property. And he's more than happy to give it back when the fellow comes up with the money. Or he's less than happy, but after all, it's the right thing to do because your intention initially was not to buy property. So be a man should give him back his property. But in these cases, I purchased Shimon's property. I don't want money, I want property. Adata da Aranochus, Velav Adata da Zuzinochus. These three individuals came in with the intention to possess the land and not just to get money. So in this case, Levi, the former owner, has no right to force them to return his property to him. Okay, so that's pretty clear. However, in the next case, we have a shaila. Shomula li'isha. Suppose Levi lost his property to his Baal Chayv, who happened to be a woman. Okay? So he defaulted to the woman. But now she got married, and now she passed away. And now Levi wants to pay off the husband. Or another case, Shamu minodi isha. Let's say the defaulter was a woman. She had borrowed the money, defaulted, and now she lost her field to Shimon. But now she married, and she died, and now the husband would like to go retrieve that property. In both cases, we say like this: Baal b'nichse ishta lekeachavi. A husband, with reference to his wife's assets, is considered like a customer, like a buyer. He's not like a heir, like a yerush. He's a buyer. Because as we learned many times, a husband has a right to his wife's assets. He can eat the produce, right? But speaking about nichse malug, right? Properties which really belong to her, but he has access to them. So he's not considered a partial owner. He's just a lekeach. He's like a buyer. That's his interest, so to speak, in his wife's assets. And therefore, pertaining to our situations, loy mehader. So in the first case where somebody defaulted to the Isha and gave her his property, and now the Isha married and she passed away, the husband does not have to. He need not return the field to the fellow, because it's like he's a buyer. And we just learned a minute ago, when you buy from a Baal Chayv, it's yours forever. And likewise, in the second case, we don't return to him. So that's the second reference to the second case where she had borrowed money, she defaulted, she lost her field to the Baal Chayv, and she married, and she passed away. Now the husband would like to pay off the Baal Chayv and get back the field. No, you have no right to do that. You're not a Yerush. You're not stepping into her shoes. At most, you're a buyer. So you have no right to go take the place of your seller, so to speak, and take on his interests and represent him and force the Baal Chayv to give you back the field. No, it's done. It's given. He tells us when the Sanhedrin was in Gullus and they were in a place called Usha, they were Masak, and they established that a husband has a status of a lekeach. So it pertains specifically to this case. Why did they make the takana for this case? Let's say a married woman sells her nichse milug. Again, nichse milug are those assets which are owned by her but accessible to him, used by him. She sells it during her husband's lifetime. So, as long as she's married, he can still access the payraise, the produce. That's his. Umeisa, now she passes away. Question, what happens now? Does the buyer get it? Or does the husband inherit his wife? Typically he inherits, but here it was sold. He gets it. Habal moitzi miyad halakuches. The husband has the right to extract it from the buyers. You know why? Because they gave him that extra power to override any other sale. He's considered like the first buyer. So bottom line, he has a din of lekeach pertaining to our cases as well. Here comes a new case. Levi defaulted to Shimon. But instead of running to the Bezdin, he says, look, skip the whole legal wrangling, let me give you a piece of property, be happy. And then a year later, he returns with money. He wants it back. Pligibo, there's a machlokes between Rav Acha and Ravina. Chad Amar, Hadra. One shita says he has a right to ask it back. The other one says no, he doesn't have the right to get it back. Why? The opinion that says that he can't get it back, Savar, he figures, this transfer of property is tantamount to an ordinary sale. It's like Levi sold it to Shimon in lieu of the loan. Because it was done by his own initiative. It's like a sale. Once you sell, no backsies, right? But the other shita which says that he can retrieve it, Savar, he figures, it's not considered like a sale. It was seized. Fine, it wasn't seized. I offered it. But you know what? The reason why I offered it, and rather than come to the best, to avoid shame and embarrassment. I don't want to make it into a public spectacle, but ultimately it was just, sort of a temporary stopgap because of the default. And as soon as I have access to funds, I'd like it back. So that's the machlokes. Now, generally speaking, when Bezdin seizes property on account of a default, when does the malva assume full ownership? At what point does the malva actually assume full ownership and have access to the produce? We have a three-way machlokes. Rabba Amar Mechimatya Adracht Liyadeh. So basically, the way it works is like this. Rashi explains. First, the Bezdin makes a psak din. 90 days later, they give the draft and adracht, a document, allowing the malva to pursue any assets belonging to the leiva. So as soon as that adracht gets into the malva's hands, that gives him the right to access the leiva's properties. He becomes the owner. Abai Amar, you don't have to wait till that point, even before delivery. Once the Edom signed that document, that's enough to give him ownership. Rava Amar, no, you have to wait even more. Because after the adracht is given to the malva, then they have to go find properties and make a whole announcement and an auction. And once that's done, they give him the rights to the property. At that point, he becomes the owner. Says the Mishnah. Here comes an interesting case. Shimon rented Reuven's cow for personal use. He did a no-no and he lent it to Levi. Now we know that a borrower is more responsible than a renter. Let's say an accident occurs. The animal dies. If you're a shayel, a borrower, you're responsible. But not a seicher, a renter is not responsible for an oinus. And what happened? An oinus happened. A mesa kedarka. The animal died naturally. So what happens now? So Shimon swears to Reuven, look, I know the animal died, totally not at fault. And that exempts him. But Levi has to pay. Interestingly, he has to pay Shimon for the cow. Because Levi is more responsible to Shimon than Shimon is to Reuven, the owner. So Shimon actually ends up making money on the deal. Rabbi Yesi can't. He doesn't accept that. Rabbi Yesi, how could you suggest that one will actually make money on the other person's property? Rather, sure, if a Levi is paying, he pays, but directly to Reuven, the owner. I have a question on the Tanakam, who says that the Seicher can end up gaining on the deal. Because on the one hand, he exempts himself vis-a-vis the owner by making that shvuah as to what happened, and then he turns around and collects from Levi. Let's closely analyze, the steps of the game. What's happening? How is this seicher sort of becoming the claimant on this cow? Basically, in other words, how are we disengaging the real owner? Bishvua, because Shimon makes a shvua to Reuven as to what happened, and now disengages from Reuven. So that sort of lays Reuven's claim against Shimon to rest. He's off the table. He's out of the picture. And now, it enables Shimon to turn around and collect from Levi, right? That's what's happening. Hold it. V'nei Reuven can just tell Shimon. V'nei malei maskil l'seicha. The renter can tell the owner can tell the renter maskil l'seicha dal ant v'dal shvasech. I don't need you or your oath. Don't come and exempt yourself. I don't need you. You know what? You're not a player. I'll go directly to Levi. I'll go and wage my claim against Levi. I don't need you to swear and disengage me. I'm involved. I'm involved against Levi. So he responded, Misabris, do you think do you think that the way Shimon assumes sort of rights to this claim is by making the shvur? In which case you can say, look, leave the shvur, I don't need your shvur. Mishas miso dekani. Truthfully, as soon as the animal dies, Reuven is out of the picture, and Shimon is the player, because as soon as the animal dies, Reuven's claim is laid to rest. Shvur, and the reason why he makes a shvur to Reuven is not because Reuven is asked, not because that is required to exempt him. It's only to allay, to address the owner's concerns. But technically speaking, as soon as the animal dies, the owner's claims were laid to rest. He's disengaged, which allows Shimon to dominate the claim and collect from Levi. Hamar Abzera. Here comes a really interesting case. Sometimes the owner, not only won't he get paid for his lost animal, he'll have to pay. Pa'amim sha'abalim mishalmin kama paras l'seicher. You can have a situation where Reuven, the owner, will actually have to pay to Shimon many times over. Hechadami, how? Listen to this case. Agri minei mea yomi. So it's a 4-step situation. First, Shimon. So we only have Reuven and Shimon here, okay? So Shimon rented Reuven's cow for 100 days. For the next 100 days. V'hadar shayla minei tishin yomi. Reuven came back and says, look, I'm sorry, I'm desperate, I need my cow back. But only for 90 days. So he borrowed it from Shimon. So now Reuven is Shimon's borrower for the first 90 days. Which makes Reuven responsible for even accidents that happened during those 90 days. It makes sense because Shimon really had rights to the animal. He rented it. I mean, what right does Reuven have to take it back? He's doing him a favor, he's lending it to him. Okay, so that comes with responsibilities. Okay, so far so good. Now, we're not done. Hadar agramine tamnan yomi. Now Shimon came back to, he says, I'm really desperate. I'm sorry, I lent it you, but I really need it for 80 days. But he's going to be a mensch, and he's going to pay him for it. So he incorporated he inaugurated a new rental contract for the next 80 days. He's paying him again. So it's like a double rental for the next 80 days. We're not done yet. And then Reuben comes back and says, actually, come to think of it, I really need it for 70 days. And he borrowed it for 70 days. And the animal died. During those, first 70 days, which is the borrowing, period, it died. So now the owner, Reuben, has to pay Shimon. Because Reuben is more responsible to Shimon than Shimon is to Reuben. Because Reuben borrowed it. Shimon never borrowed, Shimon rented it. And only a borrower is responsible for accidents. He has to pay him 4 cows. Since he can't really address the first borrowing or the second borrowing, he doesn't have a cow to pay, so he has to pay him 2 cows. He borrowed twice. There are 2 claims here. To address those claims, he has to pay 2 cows. Plus, he has to give him 2 more cows to complete the rentals. Right? There were 2 10-day rental periods which weren't really satisfied either. Right? He rented for 100, gave it back for 90. So those 10 days were not yet satisfied. He didn't have the animal for those 10 days of rental. And then he rented it for 80, but then lent it back for 70. So between 70 and 80, another 10 days of use which he's not having. So he has to give him 4 cows. Hold it. It's actually one animal. I mean, you can't duplicate it 4 times. Michti, look, chada pari, it's 1 animal. Ayla ba'afka, it came in, it went out. Meaning, yeah, technically you borrowed, you rented, but it's still the same claim. It's one cow. Afka mischiras v'ayla she'ela. You left the rental period and you enter the borrowing period. Afka mishe'ela v'ayla schiras. You left the she'ela. You went to schiras. Fine, but it's still, you switched hats, but it's the same person. It's the same animal. So why is he chayiv so many cows? Give him one cow and you're done. Give him one cow for on account of the she'ela and one cow for the schiras. Right? Because both she'elos are, it's like one thing, and both the rentals are one thing. Amalei says, no, you can't say that. I mean, if you would have the cow here, fine, you can say, look, the same cow is going to serve all these purposes, but the cow's not here. And all those claims are separate claims, and that are outstanding. That must be addressed separately. But the Gemara responds, no, Ma bar Avashi Amar no, ein lo yalein ela shtei paris. The most he has to pay is two. Chada de she'ela v'chada de schiras. One to satisfy the claim of she'ela, and that the fellow will keep. Shimon will keep it. Right? It's as though he lent him a cow, and the cow was destroyed, and he has to give him back the cow. And now he keeps that. V'chada de schiras, and one more cow for temporary use to satisfy those rental days which have not yet been fulfilled. Why? Why only two cows? We lump it together. Shum she'ela achasi, right? All the borrowings are considered one. It's one underlying claim. V'shum schiras achasi, and both rentals are sort of bundled together, under one banner, and therefore he gives him two cows. The she'ela, the cow that I'll give him on account of the she'ela, kanei legamri, that totally belongs to Shimon now, because again we treat it as though Ruvain is responsible for losing Shimon's cow. Shimon lent him a cow and he destroyed it, right? That he keeps. The schiras, the other cow which he gives him in lieu of the missing rental days, avad ba'yimei schirusei. So that's a temporary thing that Shimon will hold on to as long as he needs to complete those rental days that are missing, 20 days basically. And then he gives it back and returns it to Reuben. So amazingly enough, Shimon, the renter, will end up collecting from Reuben at least two cows. One he keeps and one for temporary use. Okay, let's go back for a minute. We had Rav Huna's halacha. Even when one offers to pay for a lost or stolen item, we ensure that he doesn't have it, he didn't pocket it. He makes a shvur she'edi b'reshusay. We had a kasha from a Mishnah, which we had several terutzim for. This idea that a shomer who pays gets benefits, that's only when he didn't put him through the grinder, he didn't take him to the bezin, as opposed to the case of the kipi of the jewelry. We discussed the idea of shuma hadar. In fact, according to Narda, according to Ameimar, it goes even la'olam because of Sisa Yoshev Atayiv. And we had the Mishnah of a Seicher who transferred to a Shoyal. We had a Machlokes in the Mishnah, what happens. An interesting case in the Gemara where the owner will actually have to pay back the renter. All the best to you and Atzlacha Rabbah.